but your only goal is to call those people and set appointments. And then it is to go through a very simple first appointment script that lasts no more than 10 minutes that anybody on here can do without having anybody there to assist you, and then set up a second call with your manager. A way that we're helping new agents get started with IULs. And, of course, we have them go through boot camp, and we follow a very simple process. Some of you guys have already started, doing some of this with us. So it's going to be a review before anybody on here who's like, well, how do I get started selling IULs? Obviously, we need to get some leads in your hand. So there's really one model for a new agent. It's get aged IUL leads in your hand. And we've got a plethora of aged IUL leads inside of the Integrity Lead Center. So you've got two options. One, you have money to come in and buy aged IUL leads. Or two, we need to make a list of friends and family that you know that an IUL will be a good fit for, make a quick commission, and then use that money to buy aged IUL leads. Like that's the model if you want to get started in IUL. And when someone's getting started, your job really is not to do the whole thing. Your job is to set appointments and go through the first call. Set appointments and go through the first call. And we'll talk about this. This is a document that we can share, that I've been sharing with people all day, that we have inside of Lead Champ Pro, talking about how to set the table with people when it comes to IULs. So that first appointment or that first phone call is really, I got a batch of 100 aged IUL leads, and I'm doing a traditional phone script of, hey, Josh, this is Jamie. I'm just getting back with you. You filled out that request online looking for IULs, be your own bank, tax-free retirement. You put down you wanted to save for your retirement. You remember doing that? Hey, I'm just the advisor here in South Carolina who's been assigned to get that info to you. Takes about 10 minutes. Do you prefer a phone call back Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays? For a phone call back mornings, afternoons, evenings, however you want to do it. And then you're going to set the appointment, do all the things we teach you guys in boot camp about cementing the appointment. If you use Lead Champ, you're going to get some text reminders and different things that happen. But your only goal is to call those people and set appointments. And then it is to go through a very simple first appointment script that lasts no more than 10 minutes that anybody on here can do without having anybody there to assist you, and then set up a second call with your manager, okay? And when you set up that second call with your manager, you do that, 5 to 10 times. You're going to see how it all goes. The manager is going to go ahead and sell it for you. You guys are going to split the commission, and you're going to start figuring out how this works. So I'll break down, some basics here on how that works here in a moment. But we're going to spend the majority of this time going through that first call script, not as much with the second call with the manager. But one thing I want to make sure I share, and this is something that I want to make sure that anybody who is a manager, you go create something like this for yourself, whether you use Calendly or Lead Champ Pro, is a little link that I created. I just put it in the chat. It's a Calendly link for presentation assistance. Okay. So this is a game changer, at least for me personally. Raise your hand to be honest. Who's ever sent me a text message and I haven't answered you? A bunch of people, okay? And that's just my toxic trait. But a lot of the times you're like, hey, I've got a client. Can you do a three-way call with me? Hey, can you do a lead strategy session for my new agent? Hey, can you get on and do a new agent interview? Like whatever those things are. And I realized that I run by my calendar. I'm a slave to my calendar in a good way. And my inbox, that's a whole nother story. So if something gets on my calendar, I'm on it. Like last week, I had an average of like 20 to 25 appointments every single day. And it was like, I'm just following my calendar. What's next? What's next? We had a group of us who are doing 75 hard right now. It's like, it says workout. I was like, okay, let's go work out. It says read. Let's go read. It's like literally whatever's on my calendar is what's happening. So the easiest thing that you can do, and this link right here, I send to all my new agents, and you should have one if you have any agents on your team, is you say, hey, when you're dialing the phone, when you do that first appointment with somebody, when you go to set the second call appointment, pull up this link and then find an available time on my schedule to schedule the appointment when you're available and the client's available. Instead of the awkward three-way text, hey, Jamie, I got a client that I need some help with designing the illustration. When are you free? And it's like now we're comparing schedules back and forth via text message. We're trying to compare with your client at the same time, or you're on the phone call with the client and you've now got this link in front of you. So this is a great one that people can use. If anybody ever wants presentation assistance from me, I'll make sure I send this in Discord, and we'll kind of dig into that a little bit more in depth, how you can use it here in a second. But that's that. And then anybody who ever needs assistance with new agent interview or lead strategy session, that's just side topic. You can book appointments for those things. You don't know what leads to buy, book a call on my calendar. You got a new agent that you want to bring on, book a call on my calendar. Like any of those things, they're there, they're available for you, and we should all be using them. But the whole point of this is that you now have, all you have to wrap your mind around is, can I set the appointment? Can I do the first 10 minutes? And then can I set a second appointment with my manager who's going to sell it for me? We had a new agent, Alexis Warren, got her first sale maybe a week and a half ago. She got 100 aged IUL leads, and we booked like 3 appointments. Nothing crazy. One of them showed up, 2 of them no-showed. And guess what? The one that showed up, we sold, and she got a $2,400 commission that we split down the middle. All she had to do was call, set the appointment, do the first 10 minutes, gather the information, which I'm going to teach y'all here in a second. And then I did the second appointment for her. When we did the second appointment, her and I were in a breakout room on Zoom. I shared my screen. And when I was sharing my screen with the client, all that stuff, she could see me using Crank Wheel, how I was sharing my screen with the client. She could see me filling out the application. And then all the fears and the worries that this new agent had about, what does the application look like? How do I answer this question? What do I do here? What do I do here? A lot of that just kind of drifted away. And now really excited to buy her next batch of leads and do it again, because she saw what was possible. And I'm like, hey, once we were done, I'm like, do you think that you could do what I just did? She's like, yes, I could do that. So that's where there's like a big thing. For me, I got the analysis paralysis of like, well, I've never logged into America. I've never logged into Mutual of Omaha and done illustration, NLG. It took me probably up until like a month ago to not be afraid of the NLG illustration software. But it's like enough times as somebody else running me through it. And then I'm like, okay, I can do this. And now I don't need help anymore. So you can book an appointment on there. I'll get an email notification, and, so will your client. And then I'll show up to the call. We'll do the presentation, split the commission. Okay, so let's just jump into the setting the table script here. Let me go ahead and get this screen shared, and hopefully you guys will be able to see this okay. And here we are. Okay, so this is a very simple script. Shout out to Josh Lockhart. Of course, always shout out to Josh Lockhart because he comes up with most of this stuff. But this is all you're doing. So I set the appointment. I get on, hey, Kasha, you fill this out, blah, 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 blah. Morning, afternoons, evenings, mornings. Okay, great. I'll call you Tuesday at 9. All right, it's Tuesday at 9. Hey, Kasha, this is Jamie. I'm just calling for our IUL appointment. You still available? Yes. Okay, and all I'm going to do, and you don't have to go exactly through this, say exactly what's on here, but just kind of BS with them a little bit. Hey, when you filled this out, you were looking at IULs. Have you done any research before? Have you heard about IULs? Like, what were you looking for? Just kind of get them talking. Did you see things like be your own bank, tax-free retirement, life insurance? Yep. Okay, great. What were you kind of looking for? Why do you want this? Let them talk. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We're just going to walk through the 5 reasons that people get an IUL and the 3 most common setups. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your health. We're going to talk about budget, and then we're going to set up another call, and I'm going to do some homework for you. Simple as that. We should be done in 5 to 10 minutes. It's like, okay, great. Hey, Kasha, IUL, indexed universal life insurance. It's a life insurance contract that you can save money inside of for your retirement. Simple as that. You know what life insurance is, right? Yes. Okay. When you die, money pays out. That's the death benefit. That's the first thing. So when you die, let's say you got a $100,000 benefit, beneficiary of your choice is going to get paid $100,000. Have you ever heard of living benefits? Yes, no. Well, it's kind of like the death benefit, but you don't have to die to use it. You have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, become sick or disabled, that money is going to pay out as well. It's great for income replacement if you become too sick or hurt to work. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. So that's the life insurance side. Now we've got the cash accumulation. I always like to, explain it like, hey, Kasha, have you ever had a 401k? Yes, no. Someone had a 401k. Like, everyone knows what a 401k is. It's like, okay, money comes out of your check, it goes into this account, and it grows. The IUL is similar to a 401k, meaning that a portion of the amount that you put in is going to go towards the cost of insurance, and the portion is going to go towards the cash value. So it's going to grow with interest like a 401k. say things really simply like, hey, it goes up, but it can't go down. People are like, what does that mean? With the goal here is not to enamor them with your vocabulary on finances. Like these are middle American blue collar people who are not rich. Out of 20 appointments, you'll find one that's rich. You'll find like 5 to 10 that are affluent, meaning like they're a trucker who makes $6,000 a month. And most of them are going to be like $50 to $100 clients, like real simple people just trying to get started. So yeah, talk to them like real people, not like they're wealthy. So, hey, it can go up, it can't go down. Meaning, hey, if you had your money in a 401k in 2008, it lost 38%. If you had your money in an IUL, it lost zero. The IUL has the ability to participate in the gains of the market, but it doesn't participate in the downside. So if next year the 401k makes 10%, the IUL might only make 8. And that's where the insurance company makes their money. But if everyone else loses 10%, you lose zero. So you're protected. We're protected on the downside, but we still get to participate on the upside. Does that make sense? Yes. So you can accumulate money inside of the policy. It's going to grow tax-free. And when you go to withdraw it with a loan, you're going to be able to withdraw it tax-free. Does that all make sense? Yes. So we're not getting deep in the weeds here. That's second call. We're just getting a real basic idea. And is that what you were looking for or something different? Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to walk you through the 3 most common setups. The 3 most common setups. And I always pause here and slow down. This is where you can build an immense amount of trust with a client, because this is how we're explaining how we get paid. So this is how, no offense to any other agent out there that I'm competing against from another IMO who's trying to sell them a policy, but this is how I establish myself over that other agent, because most people don't talk about the setups and it's like they're hiding something. They might set them up in the right way, but it builds trust when you say, hey, there's 3 different ways we get paid, or there's 3 different ways that you can fund this policy, set it up, structure it, and we get paid on the amount of life insurance that you buy. So if you buy a lot of life insurance and have a huge benefit, you're going to maximize my commission. If you buy the minimum amount of life insurance, I'm going to get a minimum commission. I want to make sure that's super clear with them. It's like, hey, if any agent talks to you about IULs and they don't explain the common setups, just be careful. That's a red flag, because it means they might be hiding something from you. If I'm going to get paid a huge commission because you need a lot of life insurance, that's one thing, because that's what you need. I'm going to ask you questions to find out what you need. If you don't need that and you already have insurance, we'll talk about cash accumulation, minimize my commission. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to put you in the best position. So I make sure that's super clear. So, hey, here's the 3 most common setups. Talk about $100, just to give them a very easy visual. Hey, imagine $100. Of that $100, $100 a month is going into your policy. Protection focus means we're going to take as much of that $100 as allowed, and we're going to get as much insurance as we can possibly get. And then whatever's left over, the bonus is going to be the cash value. So maybe let's say 70 or 80% of that $100, depending on your age, is going to go towards the cost of insurance. And whatever's left over is going to go towards the cash value. That's a protection focus. Now, on the opposite side, we have a cash accumulation focus, which is we want to get the bare minimum, the actual legal minimum amount of life insurance. Like I literally can't get any less life insurance. We'll get the minimum amount of life insurance, maximum amount of cash growth. Flip that over. We'll say maybe $20 or $30 is going towards the cost of insurance, and the rest is going towards the cash value. Then you've got a blended focus, which is if you take that $100, basically split it down the middle, 50-50, $50 into life insurance, $50 into cash value. And I ask them if that makes sense and talk about kind of where they might be leaning. Most people are either leaning towards 2 or 3. Most people are leaning towards cash accumulation or a blend because they love the idea of the living benefits and all of that other stuff. Like they're such good products that how could they not? It's very rare that I've heard somebody say, I want a protection focus, unless it's like a mortgage protection. It's like, no, I need the coverage, as opposed to, wanting to grow their money for retirement. So you've got that basic info. You know why they want a policy. They know what it is. They know the couple different structures. You got an idea of what kind of structure they're looking for. Asking them a few basic questions about their health and their income. And then we're going to find out their budget. Then we're going to set up another call. So this right here, this is a big one in terms of finding out budget. You know, I think Josh said it best. If you ask this question in a lazy way, you're going to get a lazy answer. So a lot of agents, and I found myself doing this for a couple months, is, and Bob, how much do you want to put into your IUL per month? People's $50 a month, $300 a month, whatever that number is. And they'll say something. And then I would go path the least resistance. Okay, $50 a month. And I write them up a $50 a month sale, no big deal. But I was leaving a bunch of money on the table because I wasn't asking this question well. So what I started saying is I'd say, hey, Bob, you know, this is kind of where the rubber meets the road. You know, this is what's going to help me do my homework and draw up an illustration for you, create a spreadsheet with some options. And just the bigger the number that you give me, just remember, the cooler the illustration is going to look, okay? So I'm going to ask you this question in two different ways. Bob, one, what is the most if you really push yourself? And I'm talking on a perfect month, nothing's going wrong, no emergencies, no unexpected bills. What is the absolute most that you think that you could save for your retirement each month? Number one. But on the flip side of that, number two, on a bad month, everything is going wrong. Tires pop on your car, roof leaks, emergency bills, emergency this, emergency that. What is a minimum that you could commit to saving per month, no matter what? And then just stop talking. Let them say something. And you're going to get some crazy answers. You're going to get answers of people who are self-employed, and they'll say things like, on a bad month, I could do 200. On a good month, I could do 4,000. You get crazy answers like that. Or you're going to get the most typical answer, which is like 50 on a bad month, 150 on a good month, 200 to 500. Like, you're going to get some ranges, and it's going to give you an idea. And it's like, it's cool because when you're selling just straight up life insurance, it's like, well, how much coverage do you want? $500,000. Well, you're 65 and it costs $1,000 a month. That's what it costs. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Versus how much do you want to put in? And then we're going to tell you how much coverage comes with that based on how we structure it. It's just a totally different conversation. So finding out the budget, finding out what the minimum and the maximum is, and then rescheduling an appointment for you to jump back on and build an illustration for them with a manager. Now, a couple of caveats here. When you're brand new, it doesn't matter if it's $50 a month or $5,000 a month. Schedule a second appointment with your manager. If you've been here for a while, anything that's like 50 to 200 to $300 a month that you can get inside of AmeriCorps Mutual of Omaha, I'll go into some details soon. Just start building the illustration, finish the appointment right there if they're open to it. If you don't need to do some crazy illustration, there's no fully underwritten process. But for the most part, if you're learning, the second appointment is mostly so you can learn. It's so you can learn from your manager what to say and how to do it. So reschedule that, do the second appointment, and then we'll build that illustration while you're on the phone with your manager. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll go ahead and we'll share that document with everybody. But we just are teaching the agent to master setting the appointment and setting the table. And then we'll have the manager do the presentation, the illustration, the application, all that stuff, put your code on the application, and, you know, get you a free commission for doing half the work. You know, you'll get paid half the money. And again, we're going to screen share the whole process of the application with the agent, so it's not unknown. And we're also going to show you how to share it with the client so they can see what you're doing on the other side, so they're no longer skeptical about giving bank info and social security info, all of that, because they can see you in the application. And you're going to do this with your manager 5 to 10 times. And eventually you're going to start becoming confident and thinking, I can do this myself.